Hi, welcome to this month's safety topic, Holiday and Toy Safety, brought to you by Firefly Community Partners for Child Safety of Marion County. As a reminder, each month we cover a variety of safety topics, and this month we are doing Holiday and Toy Safety, and we will also include and be sure to check out our bulletin boards and our newsletters that also share important information about this topic. If you have any additional questions or follow-up concerns, do not hesitate to reach out to me or your safety store contact, and we'll be sure to offer help and support. All right, so every year we celebrate many different holidays at this time of year, and it's important that families keep in mind a variety of safety tips and precautions to make sure that everyone's staying safe and sound and can continue to have a great holiday season. There's some different things we need to think about as it relates to that. So we're thinking about keeping various components of our home safe. Hopefully you can see that on your screen. We've also sent a copy of this PowerPoint to your respective LODs, but this is the 12 days of safety. You can see that we're thinking about fire safety tips during this important month. Various fire safety hazards that may be in our home. We're also wanting to be mindful of cooking safety, um, checking our smoke alarms, thinking about electrical safety concerns as well, and thinking about the ways in which families might choose to decorate their homes could also be potential fire hazards as well. Some of the topics that I'm going to talk to you about in further detail are holiday shopping with children, some safety tips that we want parents to be thinking about when they're out doing the hustle and bustle of the holiday shopping season, if they are choosing to travel at all for the holidays, how to decorate safely, and toy safety as well. So holiday shopping, let's talk through some strategies and tips for that. And really, this is important any time of the year when we're out and about with our kiddos, shopping at the grocery store, the mall, etc. We want to make sure that we keep our kiddos a close eye on them at all times. Um, Making sure that they know if they ever get lost from their parent where they can go for help. We think it's a good strategy for parents as age appropriate that their children actually know their name above and beyond just mommy or daddy. Sometimes we might on the inside of a child's coat or in some way, shape, or form, make sure that if they are separated from you, that there's contact information available. And it's definitely appropriate around kindergarten and first grade for children to begin learning an important phone number and potentially their home address as well. If they do get lost from their parent, we want them to know where to go for help and support. How to identify a safe person. So whether that's the customer service desk or a security guard, so they can have them to help them begin looking for you and getting or for their parent and reunited. Um, Make sure that kiddos know that it's never ever okay that they should never ever leave the store without their parent. And Whether that be the mall, a shopping, a Meijer, a Walmart, etc., they should never leave the store. Also, we don't ever want to leave our kiddo alone. It's, very typical for kids to say I'm bored or for them to want to wander off to check out the toy section or the electronics section, and it's just not safe for them to do that. They need to remain with their caring adult at all times. It's nobody else's job to be their babysitter, and it's just really important that they know that those are not playtimes, and that you're there to do the shopping you need to do, and that they need to stay with you, or maybe even designate if an older brother or sister can kind of be the one responsible for them, that's okay too. All right, traveling for the holidays. The holidays are one of the most busiest time of the year for traveling, whether that be by car, by plane, etc. But if folks do travel, we want to make sure that the vehicle's in good running condition, that everyone's well rested, sober. Those are important things too. Alert, ready to take on and be alert and kind of be prepared to deal with anything that might occur with weather or other travelers, etc. Traveling by car during the holidays has the highest fatality rate of any major form of transportation based on fatalities per passenger mile. In 2020, it was estimated that 163 people died on New Year's Day, 485 on Thanksgiving Day. And Christmas, it was estimated that 340 lost their lives. Alcohol impairment is involved in about a third of those fatalities. So we always want to make sure folks are designating a sober driver and or just choosing not to drive, or maybe using that Uber or that Lyft. We are definitely in the throes of the winter season, so it's important that we are preparing our vehicles for this wintry, icy, snowy weather. So emergency kits are really great for families to have with them, for us as workers as well. So, always plan to give yourself a little bit extra travel time too, wherever you might be trying to go. Accidents happen, construction is everywhere, things like that. So this is an example right here in this photo of some things that folks might find in a kit. So jumper cables are always good. I would include kitty litter or something like that. Some great things to have on hand. So we also want to make sure everybody's remembering that they should always be buckling up, using their seat belts, remembering car safety, car seat safety as well, and all those important tips. No distracted driving, whether it be the cell phone. Sometimes even when parents are driving, kiddos can be the distraction in their car. And designate sober drivers, as I said before, and making sure that we have designated that and we're not choosing to get behind the wheel if we are intoxicated. Another thing that's really important for us to think about is road rage. Road rage is absolutely on the rise. This is a really great resource from Allstate. It helps us think about various tips on, about what we could be doing to keep safe with road rage incidents. It has definitely happened, whether it be on the local interstates or just around town. People are finding themselves in a hurry. They get frustrated, they get angry, and the next thing we know, disaster strikes and potentially violent incidents can occur. So we want to encourage all drivers to practice polite driving, give other drivers the benefit of the doubt, and keep our travel expectations reasonable. We're all in this when we're in the traffic jams or etc. Steer clear of those aggressive drivers that are out there. Let's avoid making rude gestures. And when all else fails, if you feel like you're being targeted by an aggressive driver, definitely call, excuse me, 911. Consider driving to the nearest police station, convenience store, or public location. Do not go home if you think you might be getting followed. All right. Car seat safety. This is a great time of year to remember car seat safety, especially as it relates to coats. We want less than a pinch of an inch, less than a pinch with the straps. And so when children are put in the big puffy coats, that is not a snug fit for children in the car seat. So we want them to stay warm. We get that. Parents worry about that. So we can put the baby or child in their car seat, put the coat on them over top of them once they are all buckled in. We can use fleecy jackets that are much thinner, and blankets and things like that is for the older kiddos, definitely not with our younger ones, because we want to practice also thinking in mind the safe sleep tips. But yeah, so you'll see there from Safe Kids that we do not ever want to use those puffy coats, because it definitely, remember to strap before you wrap. Warm your car ahead of time if possible. There's lots of great strategies we can do to make sure the kiddos are still safe in their car seats and staying warm during the colder months of the year. Just some more winter travel trips. Make sure you're telling others and alerting others when you're traveling in these icy, wintry conditions. A reminder of that emergency kit. Always checking road conditions. There is a Indiana State advisory map, travel advisory map. So when we get that icy, wintry weather, it's always great to check out it's by county, and they'll tell you if we're in the free and clear, or if there's a warning or advisory, or if they're saying that in your county the roads are just not safe to travel on. So check that out. Winterizing our vehicles too, making sure we have the de-icer, windshield wiper fluids, all the different things, and keeping an eye on the winter weather. Next is decorating safely. That is an important topic, right? We are in the throes of the holiday season. Lots of folks choose to decorate their homes during this holiday season, but we want to make sure we're doing it safely and not creating potential fire hazards. Um, so we want to think about the fact that if we're using candles or various ornaments or having trees in our homes or various lighting, that we are doing that as safe as we can and using extra supervision. We know someone who had beautiful garland in their home last year, and the garland was, it had adhesive. They used adhesive to kind of hang it, and it did fall on a candle, and then it was so highly flammable that within seconds it caught their entire home on fire. According to the National Fire Protection Association, nearly 600 fires in the U.S. are caused by Christmas tree lights and decorations each year. Additionally, 7,500 injuries occur from Christmas trees and decorations alone. On average, there's about 160 Christmas decorating related injuries each day, whether that's falling off of ladders, things like that. So always just decorating and being safe about that. So some additional safety tips we want to consider is poisonous plants, whether it's mistletoe, holly, poinsettia, things like that. Those are all poisonous to both children and pets. Breakable ornaments, that can be an issue too. So keep those either off the tree until the kiddos are a little bit older or hang those higher up on the tree. Use only indoor lights indoors and outdoor lights outdoors. All right. And whoever's choosing to take on the task of hanging the lights, make sure they are being careful and safe. If we do have light sets that have broken lights or things like that, we need to replace those. We don't ever want to use lights that have frayed wires, loose connections. Always think through and read the instructions on our various lights about how many can be plugged into a socket. We don't ever want to nail or the wiring on the lights, and keep the plugs away from puddles and snow. And then when we go to bed and we leave the house, we should never be leaving the lights on. A little couple of quick things to think about with Christmas trees specifically. We want to keep them 3 feet away from fireplaces, radiators, and other heat sources, and not block doorways with our Christmas trees. Some folks will have the artificial ones. Some folks will choose to have the real ones. So if they're choosing a live tree, they want that fresh tree. They want to make sure that tree is not drying out, so keeping it well watered. If they are going with the artificial tree, look to see if it is fire resistant. Same thing with that tree. Keep it away at least 3 feet away from heat sources. Making sure we have a smoke detector in that room is always a good thing. If we have aluminum or metallic trees, do not decorate those with lights. It could cause electrocution. Flame resistant ornaments are good. We want to think again about kiddos putting things in their mouth. So thinking about the ornaments if it's in the child's reach, they could swallow those ornaments or choke. And then also, do not burn the tree. I think that should be with the live, but burn trees or wrapping paper in the fireplace. We have a really handy holiday decoration safety tip brochure that you are welcome to check out. We'll have copies of that in the safety store. It has a lot of great additional holiday decoration safety tips. All right, on to toy safety. Toy safety is an important tip and consideration all year round. But we're getting lots of new toys around the holiday season and around birthdays and things like that. And so let's talk about how to keep kiddos safe with toys. Some toys can just simply be dangerous, right? It's really good to be keeping tabs on various recalls. Just because it gets put on the shelves doesn't mean it's been tested and things like that. The consumer protection folks and other consumer things only really sometimes will pull something off the shelf whether after a considerable amount of kiddos have been hurt or injured from said toys or said like child items. So something to consider. Once gifts are open, immediately discard plastic wrappings and other packaging on the toy. That can become dangerous. And while toys are fun and often educational, they can be dangerous. And children under the age of 4 are the greatest risk for toy-related injuries. So what are some tips we can do to keep our kiddos safe as it relates to toy safety? We always want to make sure we're supervising the child with the toy, that we've read the instructions. age-appropriate toys. Most, if not all, toys have the suggested ages for that plus up, like 8 and up, 10 and up, for the age-appropriate age of the child. Avoid toys with small parts that present choking hazard for young children. We have to keep the older kiddos' toys away from the younger kiddos. So, okay, I might have an 8-year-old in the home and they're really loving this game, but if I have the toddler, they're going to be curious what big sister, big brother's playing with, so I need to keep those things separate. Things like marbles, balls, and games with balls that are pretty small around the marble or smaller, those are choking hazards, right? Art materials can also be very potentially poison hazards and dangerous as well. If we have toys with wheels, such as bicycles, skateboards, scooters, make sure we're buying those helmets too. Demonstrate how to use the toy safely and secure all the batteries so they are not accessible. Balloons should never be given to kiddos under the age of 8. We want to not just leave balloons out and about because those are choking hazards. Make sure we're always putting the toys away to help prevent falls and accidents. We should always have the riding and mobile toys supervised and used with supervision. We want to make sure we're watching the use of toys around stairs or water, depending on the type of toy. If we think there might have been lead in the toy, especially toys that come from other countries, we might want to look into getting lead testing through our local health department. If the toy has been recalled, take that toy away from that child immediately. A lot of times toys will come with a little postcard. Not always, but sometimes they do, especially a lot of the baby items. Encourage families to fill that postcard out and send that back in. And then you can always check out the recalls.gov or cpsc.gov to find out more about the recalls that have been happening about various toys. Other safety considerations. What are some things else we need to consider? So a lot of our other safety topics are things we need to consider for the holiday season. We encourage you to, if necessary or if helpful, review those topics with families during this. While it's the most wonderful time of the year, as the song goes, it can be a very challenging or overwhelming time for many families as well. So that we might see an uptick on parental stress with the demands of the holiday season. We might find that our families are being around a lot more people as we go and visit family and friends during the holiday season. So make sure to be thinking through prevention strategies around child sexual abuse. Firearm safety is another important one, especially around New Year's Eve. That's a great time to remind families about firearm safety. We might have changes in childcare arrangements during winter breaks. So we have the Home Alone Safety Guide, and we have some other great tips on, how to choose the childcare provider carefully or safely. Holiday blues are something that we'll talk about in the coming months as well. Fireworks safety too, depending on the holiday, depending on the culture, they might decide to shoot off fireworks around this time of the year as well. We have so many great and wonderful resources as it relates to this topic, so we hope that you will be encouraged to check those out. So Safe Kids Worldwide has a lot of great toy safety tips. State Farm is another one that has holiday tips, and Consumer Product Safety Commission is another one that is really great. Additionally, we will provide a toy safety guide from the Riley Safety Store as well for you. If you have any additional questions or concerns or follow-up relating to this, or are needing a particular safety item that relates to this, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or your safety store representative. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we will see you next month. Take care. Thank you.